Welcome everyone back to our TD Sportspress podcast that we have. Week 6 takeaways we have tonight. We have a lot of takeaways. We have a lot of stuff that we need to talk about in this live show that we have today. Penn State, what's going on at Penn State? There's a lot of things that we need to discuss today. So without further ado, we're gonna hop right in. I think we're going to start off today. We are going to start off with the AP poll came out today, so I'm going to put this right there for us. The AP poll came out today, and there are some things I like. I don't understand Iowa State at 22. I'm going to start there with Iowa State at 22. Cincinnati has the same record as Iowa State. And why wouldn't Cincinnati be ranked instead of Iowa State? They have the head-to-head. Florida State, I don't know if they should be ranked. I don't know. I think there's some teams I would put there personally in front of them. I think they nailed it with Virginia. I think Virginia's in a good spot. I kind of doubted them last week, and they went on the road and beat a really good Louisville team, so I could understand that. We look at a team like Illinois. Are they a little too high? I think they are. They look too good against Purdue. I mean, they won 43-27, but they let Purdue score 27 points. Moving on, like I said, this is my live reaction to this AP poll coming out this Sunday night. I'm fine with most of it. I just don't understand why Iowa State's ranked as number one. Like I said, Cincinnati has the same record, and I would have Miami at number one. You're at the point right now. Miami has to be the number one team in the nation. You cannot dispute. You cannot watch this Miami's first half of the year and tell me there's a better team in the nation than Miami right now. Look at their resume right now. They have beat Notre Dame. They went and beat Florida. They beat USF, who's also ranked. Good for them. The AAC has some presence in there. Then they beat Florida State. I mean, it was 28-3. I mean, the score was 22-28. No, it was insane what Miami did last night. Carson Beck is probably the front runner to win the Heisman right now. I don't know anyone in the nation that is having a better start of the year right now than I'm about to say Carson Beck right now. You watch the way he puts the ball on kids, the way he airs it out. Anyone that was worried about his shoulder from when he got hurt again in the SEC championship game against Texas, I think that all rest has been put aside there. All rest has been put aside. Carson Beck is a player, and I think we're starting to learn that. So with our AP poll, that's kind of where we are sitting at with the AP poll. Like I said, there's going to be some matchups that I'm excited about next week that I'm looking forward to right now. Oregon and Indiana, that's definitely the top of my bucket list. BYU and Arizona, that's an interesting game as well going into next week. And then you got your SEC games as well. There's like 3 or 4 that I have my eyes on. Missouri and Alabama. We haven't even really talked about Missouri. Missouri was a big mover in my poll, which I'll release on Tuesday. So I am super stoked to talk about this. But this is our AP poll. I don't have a lot of complaints. The only thing I'm going to complain about the AP poll with, this is the one thing I'm going to complain about. Why in the world were there people that try to rank Texas and Penn State? Like Texas and Penn State were ranked like the 27th and 28th rating in this ranking. You guys can go check it out. It's all over Twitter. But there was someone that put Penn State at number 17 in the nation. What individual would put Penn State after 17 after getting beat by UCLA? Just so keep in mind, UCLA didn't have a lead this entire season until they played Penn State yesterday. They didn't have a lead. They had played UNLV, New Mexico, and Utah. I mean, Utah's good, but UNLV and New Mexico in the Mountain West. They didn't have a lead. And they went in, they were up 28-10, something like that before halftime? Like, I can't take you seriously as an AP voter if you put Penn State in your top 20. Better yet, your top 25. But your top 20 is absurd. And then you got Texas. Who has Texas beat? Oh, can someone tell me who Texas beat? Who is Texas' best win? UTEP? Who is Texas' best win? They're going to get an opportunity this week against Oklahoma. But, I mean, how in the world did someone rank Texas? I know they're not in the AP poll, but I can see the people that voted for every single ballot. They have probably like 100 people that do these ballots. I can see who's on those ballots. So I think it's absolutely crazy. Anyone that put Penn State or Texas on a ballot. I was a little worried they were going to be in the AP poll. But there were still people that put them over some other teams. We're going to stop it there. I could rant all day about the AP poll. So we're gonna stop it there. We're gonna take a chill pill. That's far enough. So. That moves us into our next segment that we have going on. We're going to start looking at some games here. So the first game we're going to talk about, we had to lead this off. We had Miami, number 3 Miami, go into Tallahassee. Carson Beck, 20 of 27, 241 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then they got Malachi, who looked like Tyreek Hill out there, for over 100 yards and 7 receptions and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Miami offense, we knew their offensive line was good. The rest of the offense, oh my gosh, they put a display on a Florida State team. Florida State, I thought, would have a little more resistance. I thought their defense would be better. But I think that Miami's offense is just that good. That's my overreaction. I think that Miami is a team to watch out for right now. I think they're the hottest team in the nation. That's why I have them number 1 in my poll. My full poll will be coming out on Tuesday. But looking at this game, it was more about Miami than it was Florida State. Miami just went out and won this. Florida State, they just didn't have a prayer. They did not have a prayer. They beat Alabama, and that Alabama game is starting to look like a fluke for Florida State. I just don't like the way Florida State's been looking. They can't play defense. They could have had no answers for Miami's offense last night. They did get Florida State did get their offense going the last, 4 or 5 minutes of the game, but it's just not good enough, especially against a really good Miami defense. So you look at this game, my takeaway from this is Miami's the number 1 team in the country. Until someone beats them, just the way they've been looking, their resume is insane. And Florida State, they're gonna have to, buck up their necks a little bit, and they have to get through this. They're on a 2-game losing streak. They can still make, the college football playoff, and it's gonna be hard to make the ACC championship having those 2 losses already, especially in this conference. But you look at this right now. Florida State still has a chance to make the playoffs. They still have things in front of them, but as of right now, it could get a little dicey. But like I said, this game was more about Miami just going out and taking it from Florida State. Florida State, like, it was home. They had they had everyone there. Everyone was super excited to be there. But Miami just went in there and took care of business. And Malachi Tony, he might be the next Tyreek Hill. If anyone watched that game, just the routes he ran, the route tree that he had, good heavens, Carson Beck would just, it looked like half the time his throws would hit the, the clouds, so how high he was throwing, and Malachi would get right under it. I think Malachi could have had like 150 yards receiving. There's one play, I think at the beginning of the first quarter or half, if I remember right, where he just missed it, went right off his fingertips. It might have been the first possession of the game, but like I said, there's not a lot more to discuss in this game. Miami just went out and won that game. It's pretty they just went out and won, and they're a great team, and they showed why they are a great team against that team. So let's switch gears. Oh boy, we're gonna talk about what transpired in Los Angeles, California yesterday. Number 7 Penn State went and got beat by winless UCLA 42-37. I wish I knew where to begin with this team here. What in the world happened to Penn State? I think this is more talking about Penn State than it is UCLA. We'll talk about UCLA. We're going to talk about Penn State for a minute here. It might be time for James Franklin to go. I know a lot. He's got like a $66 million buyout or whatever it is. But all the Penn State fans that told me all week that I had Penn State number 19 in my rankings. I felt that was generous. That told me that they deserve to be in the top 10. I hope I can get an apology for some of you guys, because some of you guys were crazy about it. And what I saw on Saturday just validates what I've been saying about Penn State the entire year. They had everything in front of them. They have one loss to Oregon. You have everything in front of them. And after this UCLA loss, oh my gosh, it feels like the sky is falling in Pennsylvania. And I wish I was joking. But let's get to UCLA. You got to give a hats off effort to UCLA. UCLA went in and they just their play calling was remarkable. You have Nico, excuse me. He was 17 24, 166 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran for 128 yards. Penn State they had no answer for Nico yesterday, and Nico had a performance that looked like what people thought he was going to look like. He had a really good performance. UCLA just had a good, performance all around, and I'm happy for Nico. I think this is good for UCLA. If you didn't see that, they had a person calling plays. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on Twitter. But I really felt good. This was a feel-good spot for UCLA. Like I said, they hadn't been in a lead the entire game, in the entire season until they played Penn State, and they came out. They had that onside kick. That was probably the most James Franklin thing to happen yesterday. Is Penn State's recovery team fell asleep. You could tell that their left tackle on their kick return, he went inside out of the numbers. You're not supposed to do that until the ball is kicked. He left, and there was no one over there. And UCLA, they were already up 7-0. They got a field goal out of that, so it was already 10-0 before I think Penn State even touched the football. So you got to give it up to UCLA. They won that game. Penn State made it close in the second half, but UCLA came out and they thought they were the better team, and they showed. And I hate to say it, but they showed like they were a better team than Penn State. And then on Saturday, and James Franklin, there's a lot of questions about him right now, and there should be a lot of questions. This has got to be one of the worst losses in Penn State history, if not the worst loss in Penn State history. You look what Penn State had coming into the year. There were people picking them to win the national championship. There were people saying, well, if it's this year, it's never going to happen. Or they're talking about how their running backs are better than Notre Dame's running backs. And they already have 2 losses, and they haven't even played Ohio State yet. They still play Ohio State, this year. So there's going to be a lot of soul searching at Penn State this week. They got to find something. Yeah, I don't know what it's going to be, but they need to find something. And that's where we're going to leave it. UCLA won that game, and it was obvious. I think that, Penn State, they got to figure it out. The season goes on, so especially in the Big Ten. So that's all we have. Great for UCLA. It was a great win for UCLA. Moving on. How ironic we go from, talking about Penn State to talking about Texas. Where were they ranked? 9. Texas went into the swamp yesterday and did not pull out a win. Florida won 29-21. People were trashing Arch. I get it to an extent. He missed a key throw, but he still threw for 262 yards. This was more about Texas defense not living up. I've been, if you guys have been following the socials, if you're not, we're on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify. I've been talking about how great the Texas defense has been, and boy, did they let me down. And some of it, you got to give credit to Florida. Florida, they had a bye week, so did Texas. But Florida really, they took the bye week, and this is the kind of Florida team I thought we were going to get the entire year. They put up 29 points. DJ Lagway, 21-28, 298 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is the Florida team that I thought we were going to see, when they played Miami or when they played USF. Or LSU. They were 1-3. I think they're 2-3 now, if I remember right. So, everything's in front of Florida right now. If they're going to keep playing this way, I saw a meme yesterday on X that made me laugh a little bit. It was just talking about how Billy Napier turns into Nick Saban when he is on the hot seat. And if you guys didn't know, we had our hot seat segment on last Thursday, and I said that Billy Napier, he does really good when he's on the hot seat. So I might have called this game, but I did pick Florida to win this game, so I did feel good about that. But good win for Florida in the swamp. This was another good feel. Florida's been really close, and there was a lot of expectations put on it. It was good for them to get a win. And then you got Texas. Let's talk about Texas. They got the Red River Iowa game this week, and John Mateer's not playing. That was the source was Brett from On3. He said that he is not available for the. He is not available for the Red River game, so that might change some things. But Texas, they rely on their defense for the most part of this year, and their defense did not help them. Their offense, could have got some more first downs, could have got a better drive going, but. You look at this a whole. This is a good win for Florida. They still got a brutal schedule in front of them, but they had to win one, and this is the one they got. And Texas, they got to get ready for Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma's ranked number 5 in the AP poll, or number 6. But you got to get ready for that game. The season goes on. Kind of the same boat as Penn State. Both teams should not be ranked. Anyone that ranked those two teams should never vote in the AP poll ever again. And that's all I got to talk about with that game. So not surprised by the result. I picked Florida to win this game, so I'm not sure why they were ever ranked. Moving on, we're going to talk about Alabama and Vanderbilt. Alabama won this game 30-14. Pavia, he might have been the reason that Vandy lost that game. He had some turnovers, some missed reads that really hurt him. And Ty Simpson had another great performance. 23 of 31, 340 yards. I mean, Ty Simpson's really becoming, turning himself into something. He had that, rocky stretch there. But, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, that's going to be good enough to beat a lot of teams. And Vanderbilt is a team that is very interesting. Just because I talked about how it's really hard to pull away from a team like Vanderbilt that has, a lot of things in front of them. And Alabama, they kind of did pull away from them, but I will say that Vanderbilt, Alabama scored with like 30 seconds to go. So this is more like a 23-14 game, I would say, more than a 30-14 game. So, but Alabama, another week, they keep getting better. I think, like I said last week, that Florida State loss really, changed some things around the Alabama program. I talked about this in the week 1 where I said this could go 2 ways for Alabama. They can go south or they can go north. And they've been going north. It's been great for Alabama. And, Ty Simpson, like I said, is a great player to root for. He was at Alabama for 2 years, and he stuck through there. He was a 5-star recruit, and he stuck there. So I find it hard sometimes, but I really do like Alabama for the sole reason that Ty Simpson, I'm so proud of him. He's doing so well, and it's awesome to see. So, Alabama won that game. They got a lot of things in front of them. They can still make the SEC championship. They don't have a loss. And now, like I said, if they go on and have a long, successful year this year, we're going to look back at that Florida State game and say, yep, that's where it changed for Alabama football year. And Kalen DeVore, there was everyone calling for his job. It's got a little bit quiet over there in Tuscaloosa. So good for Kalen DeVore. I always thought he was a good coach, and some things are churning for Alabama. We're going to see. They had a running back that ran for over 100 yards, and that's the first time that's happened since 2021, 2022. That was a really interesting stat as well. So great for Alabama, great win overall, and like I said, great win for Alabama. Moving on, we're going to get into the Big 12. I call this the funnest conference in the nation. You just never know what you're going to get. I flat out got this game wrong. I picked Iowa State to win it. I will say I was stupid. I don't know why I picked Iowa State to win this. Cincinnati's a team to watch out for. The Big 12 had some great results. You look at the Big 12 as a whole yesterday, there were some great games in the Big 12. Kansas State and Baylor was amazing. UCF and Kansas went down the wire, and Colorado played with TCU for 3 quarters and a quarter, and 1/4 of a quarter, excuse me. So the Big 12 really gave us some great games yesterday. And we're going to talk about this one here. Iowa State went to Cincinnati. This is the team Cincinnati I was talking about when I showed up the AP poll. I think Cincinnati should be ranked over Iowa State. I think that head-to-head needs to matter in the AP, and I think Cincinnati should be ranked over Iowa State in the rankings. Good for Cincinnati. They were 13-25, 214 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Cincinnati really jumped all over Iowa State to begin with, and Iowa State did a great job of trying to make something out of it and trying to make a comeback. But it's really hard to come down when you're down double-digit points. Try to get something on the board. And Iowa State just couldn't get enough momentum to go there. In Cincinnati, they had all the right answers. Another week, they had a great offensive week. I think they had 606 yards against against Kansas last week, Cincinnati did. And their offense is really good. Like I said, Cincinnati could easily be undefeated right now. If that quarterback doesn't throw it away against Nebraska, we might be having an undefeated Cincinnati team, and it just makes it very interesting in the Big 12. Not a lot of people are talking about Cincinnati. Cincinnati might be the Arizona State of this year. We'll see. There's a lot of ball to be played, but this was a good win for Cincinnati, and they should be ranked in my opinion. I don't know why you wouldn't have Cincinnati ranked right now. They're 4-1. They just beat the number 14 ranked team in the nation, and they should be ranked over Iowa State based off that head-to-head. I think head-to-head should matter in this situation. I will say that we had some people coming at us about that, but yeah, Iowa State, they need to get healthy soon because the Big 12, there's going to be big games every single week. So let's move on to our last game of the night. We're going to be talking about. We had Notre Dame, number 22, number 21 Notre Dame, 28-7 over Boise State. Boise State is not a team that we thought that they were going to be. That we know Maddox Matson was a good quarterback for Boise State, but there's a lot of things that Boise State they got to figure out. I would say, and it was a better game I would say for Boise State. They've had some rough ones, but Notre Dame's just a really good football team. I think they're the best 2-loss team in the nation right now. I think they're probably going to make the playoffs. I know a lot of people won't agree with me there, but I like I said, it's more about Notre Dame not being in a conference than it does Notre Dame and going and winning their way into the college football playoff. They're going to go 10-2. I've been saying that from the start. I called it back. Even if they got 2 losses in July when we were on our TikTok lives, that Notre Dame, if they have 2 losses on their they have 2 losses, they're going to make it. Doesn't matter who those 2 losses are, and they have their 2 losses. And Jeremiah Love, great performance. We're starting to see the Jeremiah Love we thought we would see from the start of the year. 16 carries, 103 yards, and a touchdown. That's the kind of Jeremiah Love I thought we were going to get the entire year. So maybe they found something last week against Arkansas. We'll see. I'm really high on Notre Dame still. So Jeremiah Love's a great back, and he's showing it why he's a great back. So I find that very interesting. So Jeremiah Love, he might be playing himself back in the Heisman conversation. Like I said, I still have Carson Beck's my favorite to win the Heisman. And I think it's very hard for anyone to say they don't have Jeremiah Love. So great win for Notre Dame. It was just a win they needed to have. Boise State kind of, that first quarter made it interesting. And after that, it was over. So, but great for Notre Dame, and that's all the games we're going to go over tonight. Like I said, Ohio State, just quick mention, they beat Minnesota 42-3. Ohio State's going to do Ohio State things. That defense is amazing. We talked about how good Ohio State's defense was going to be. So doing exactly what I thought they were going to do. So that's what I will say. Definitely doing what they're going to do. Oklahoma won. That's another interesting result as well. We had Texas A&M and Mississippi. Texas A&M won that 31-9. What other games were we not talking about? Michigan, they won 24-10 against Wisconsin. Michigan's not looking as good as I thought I was. And then we got Virginia, the feel-good story right now. Virginia won in overtime against a really good Louisville team. So looking ahead to next week. So these are the games we'll be talking about on the podcast. Like I said, we do our podcast Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So these are the games we'll be going over this week. South Florida, North Texas, Ohio State, Illinois, Alabama, Missouri. We will do Indiana and Oregon, Oklahoma, Texas. We'll be doing Georgia and Auburn, Michigan, USC, BYU, Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, possibly a couple more group of 5 games that I have my eyes on as well. But like I said, thanks for everyone for helping and all the support of our TikTok, or Spotify and YouTube. We are really growing. We're trying to get our YouTube up to 100 subscribers by the end of football season. That'd be awesome if we could hit that. So leave a sub if you guys like that. And if you're on Spotify, thank you guys for listening. Check in on all our graphics that you guys can see on the live video on YouTube if you get a chance. And like I said, we post 2 videos a day on TikTok as well. So we're everywhere. And thank you guys for helping us do what we love. And with that being said, we'll see you guys Tuesday night. And have a great Sunday night.